Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for your introduction. Welcome to all the attendees on this webinar series of Ajmera Law Group. Today, we're going to talk about and understand more about particularly the British Columbia or Vancouver PNP Business Immigration Program. Uh, as we all know that in Canada, the business immigration programs are there, but every province has its own unique business immigration program. So last time we talked about the Ontario. Today we are going to talk about the British Columbia. So here is the map of Canada, as you can see. And these are the 10 provinces: British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and then there's three small provinces here on this one. So British Columbia is basically on the west side of Canada, and it's just about the Seattle or north of California, you can say. So it's a west side of Canada, and the main city of the British Columbia is Vancouver. Uh, Very good Indian community is there, large number of Indian community. So when we talk about the Canada permanent immigrations, there are a number of programs are there, which I just like to draw an attention to it. The express entry or a skilled worker, which is very well known, federal business immigration program, under which we get the startup visa programs and the investment programs. Then we have a Quebec investment programs, PNP nominations with the job offers. Then we have a Canada startup program. Then we have a Canada owner-operated program, which is right now under the suspension because of the corona. Canada experience class. So these are the different programs under which one can immigrate to Canada. PNP, when you talk about the PNP, there is a PNP program where you need to have a job offer. And then we have a PNP demand list, then the PNP business immigration list. And under the PNP business immigrations, we have almost 12 programs, 10 provinces and 2 territories has this program. So under the express entry, as it is known very well, but just to give you a less than a 30 seconds to the program, education, experience, age, English, relatives, etc. gives you a points. And based on that points, initially you have to make a 67 points out of the 100 to submit your applications, but you have to score probably around 475 out of the 600 to get your immigration file approved. When it comes to the business immigrations, business immigration in Canada is divided into 4 different parts. One is investors. There is no need to start any business, but you are investing into a government bonds or securities, you can say, which is only run by the government of Quebec. And at the moment, they have put a hold to this program because they have received too many applications. The second one is an entrepreneur program, whereby you are going to start a new business or purchase an existing business, or you are going to go in a joint venture with somebody. The third program is this startup program or a new ideas or a new technology. And the fourth one is the owner operated program, which is, I can say that is a subcategory of express entry. Business immigrations in general, this is the program of about the Quebec, which is running since last 1986. Very quickly, I'll just going to run through it. That you need to have a $2 million in an assets. Out of that one, about 1.2 million, that means 12 lakh dollars or 6 crore rupees, you put it in a government bond for a period of 5 years at no interest. And eventually you can obtain an immigration. And at the end of the 5 years, you can get the money back without without any return or an interest. If you want, you can obtain a loan as well, where the 100% loan is available, and you have to pay upfront the interest portion, which could be around $350,000 per year. The Quebec government is taking the 900 applications. There is no need to set up any business, and you can settle anywhere in Canada. So now when we talk about the entrepreneur programs, the 10 provinces of Canada and 2 territories, altogether 12 programs are there. In general, if you look at all these programs, what is the general requirement of this one? That you should have an asset or a property or a wealth. In India, about a 5 lakh dollars or 500,000 Canadian dollars, which can be in your name and in your wife's names. If it is in your parents' name or if it is in somebody else's name, then it is not going to work. So it should be in your and your spouse's name. You should have a 2 to 3 years and more of a business experience in India or a managerial experience. So if you are having your own business, then you should have your business experience of about 2 to 3 years of running and managing your own business, or a managerial experience. That means you are not working in your own company, but you are working for somebody else, for a big companies, and there you have a managerial experience. So that is also can be counted. Preferably, you should have at least a bachelor's degree and at least 2 to 3 years of, 12th, after passing the 12th, you should have a +2, at least you have done it, or a bachelor's degree, you should have done it. IELTS, no need in 5 provinces, and in 5 provinces, the 5 band is required. So there are 10 provinces. 5 provinces are such that they do not care about the IELTS, but we always recommend that you should have the IELTS band. The other 5 provinces are not talking about, or they do not need them as a mandatory requirement to have an IELTS 5 bands. The investment requirement is starting all the way from 100,000 Canadian dollars to 400,000. 100,000 Canadian dollars is about 55 lakh rupees, 56 lakh rupees, and all the way up to the 400,000, which is about 2.2 crore rupees in an investment, is required. Under each different programs, you would be required to create a job for at least 1 to 2 people. The business which you are trying to do should be related to your business in a home country in India. That means if you are into a business of, say, manufacturing, you cannot go and start a restaurant there. If you are into the business of selling timbers, say, for example, you are a wholesale business of timber and you want to go and start a motel, you cannot do it. So you have to show a logic based on your past experience of running and managing a business, that what kind of business you can do in Canada. That is very, very necessary. Exploratory trip, that means before you start to do a business in Canada, the government of Canada or each province admits that you are trying to have an exploratory trip of Canada. So find out that how the business is being done in Canada, what are the rules and regulations, how the taxation affects, what are the permits you need to take in Canada if you want to establish a business in Canada. All these things, like as if, like say for example, you are in India, in your own city, like I am in Ahmedabad, some of you are in Bombay or Delhi or Calcutta, and you're trying to do business in another city within India. What would you do? Obviously, you will go and visit that city for several times, find out the locations, find out the people whom you're going to talk to or work with, and you will do a complete survey before you start your business in another city. Similarly, the government of Canada or each provincial government requires that you do or take up an exploratory trip or a business, particularly when you are buying an existing business in Canada. Obviously, you need to have a business plan, which is a very, very important aspect of your application. So once you have looked at it, all this one, now what I'm going to talk to you about is the Vancouver or business immigration to Canada under the BC program. So the one which I just mentioned to you were a general requirement, but now we are looking into the requirement under the BC PNP program, Vancouver, because British Columbia has a specific program. So the first requirement under the BC PNP program is that you should have a 24 months of a full-time business or a senior manager experience in the last 60 months. So in the last 5 years, you should have a 2 years of an experience. So if you are retired, then if you don't have an experience of 2 years in the last 5 years, probably this application is not going to work for you. So that's the first requirement, you should have it. Net worth, the assets or a property, what you should have in India, in your name and in your wife's name, not in your parents' name, but in your name, and if you are married, in your spouse's name, 600,000, which is about 3.5 CR, if you want to do business in Vancouver, in Canada. If you are going to do business outside the Vancouver, then your asset requirement is half or only $300,000. The investment requirement is that this is the minimum requirement, that if you are going to do business in Vancouver, your investment should be $200,000, which is about a 1 CR. And if you are going to do business outside the Vancouver area, then it should be 100,000 or about a 57 lakh rupees. Your personal investment into the business to receive a profit. It should be a personal involvement should be there in the business. You cannot just buy a real estate, or you cannot go and buy it's probably some ready-made business and you come back to in India and somebody else is running. No, it's not going to work. You should be personally involved in the business and to receive the profit. BC requires that you should have an IELTS band of 4 and above, preferably. Job creations. If you are establishing your business in Vancouver, then you have to have a creation of one job. And if you are doing the business outside the Vancouver area, then there's no need to create a job. Because as you know, the British Columbia is a very big territory or a very big province, and it has so many different communities, we call it, or a district, that they want people to go into those districts and settle there at least for a short period of time, 2 to 3 years, while you are waiting for your immigrations. But it should be done outside the Vancouver area or greater Vancouver area. So again, these are the 5 basic requirements. If you are meeting these 5 basic requirements, then there is a fairly good chance that you will be successful in making your applications successful under the British Columbia PNP program. Now, also it is very important to understand and note that under the previous program, under the previous slide, which I just mentioned to you, we need to have a business plan, what business you are going to do, and a business exploratory trip. Because remember that Vancouver is the one of the most, just after the Toronto, a second most popular city in Canada, where the people are coming from all over the world to do a business. They want to settle there. Vancouver is one of the city in the world where they have not seen the recession in the real estate since last 30 years. So the number of people are coming to Canada, and particularly to settle in Vancouver, is very high. And that's why the requirement which I mentioned to you is just the minimum requirement. Again, you need to have a business exploratory trip, and also you want to have a detailed business plan. Even if you want to start a coffee shop, or even if you're buying an existing business, you need to have a business plan that after taking over this business, what you are going to do in Canada, in British Columbia, and what kind of business you're going to establish. I'll give you one very good example where we did this case a few years back for British Columbia. The clients were, I was in Canada, and the clients were from Iran. and they wanted to set up a business in Canada, and particularly they looked at the British Columbia. How did we help them? Iran is very popular and known for uh, making the spicy dry fruits. So he set up a shop. We give a business plan where he's going to set up a shop in British Columbia where it becomes a spicy nuts and dry fruits. He's going to sell it from his shop. That business plan was accepted by the government. Not only that now, but it has become a very, very successful business, and he has another 2 branches. So this is how we have to think about it. I'm working on this another applications right now where the businessman is in Gujarat. They are into the distributions of the syrup, uh, which is used in the ice creams and the coffees and all these ones. And after doing the lot of analysis and working and discussions, now that gentleman wants to establish a shop of having an ice cream and dessert retail counter in Canada. And we got these applications approved and successful. And now he's just waiting for his final interview to go through it. And it took us almost a 6 to 7 months period of time to go through the whole file and provide the documents to the government. Because just investing 100,000 Canadian dollars is not good enough. First, we have to collect all the documents, your business documents, licenses, profit and loss accounts, banks, statements, and most important aspect is from where did you bring this money? And we have to show them by income tax returns, by bank statements, profit and loss accounts of the companies, the balance sheets of the companies, or if you have bought and sold the real estate or properties, we have to show that one as well. So we need to show all these things to the government. And before we submit your file to the government, we have to give this document to the government of Canada approved or British Columbia government approved chartered accountant in Canada. And they are going to review all these documents. And when they do the review of these documents, they are going to tell you that how much your net asset is. And based on that net assets, we submit your file online to the government of British Columbia. Once the file is submitted, then they'll give you an expression of an interest approval. Based on that, you are required to submit your documents within the 60 days or 90 days, depending on the time they have given you. But the preparation of the documents, the qualification assessment, the IELTS test, valuation of the properties, all these things takes almost 4 to 6 months period of time minimum. So we prepare all these things ready. We need to prepare your business plan. So it takes easily anything between 6 months time minimum if we work very, very quickly with you and you provide us the documents as soon as we ask for it. If you take his own time, like we have a few clients, they're taking a long period of time, then obviously it's going to take a longer period of time. So the documentation requirement is very, very important, whether we do British Columbia or whether we do any other provincial programs. Once we have all these documents, the document is given to the chartered accountant in Canada. They will evaluate it. Once we have the full report from that how much you are worth and what is the source of your income, we are ready to submit your file to the government of British Columbia. Once the file is submitted, then we received an first approval, with the conditional approval that now your file is approved and now you go and take the work permit from the government of Canada. Once you've taken the work permit from the government of Canada, you can come and travel to British Columbia and start establishing your business in Canada. Once you have established your business, obviously you will be required to report to the British Columbia government on a daily basis, every 6 months basis, and report to them that how your business is progressing. Once you have fulfilled the requirement of making an investment, creating a one job, the final PNP approval is received, which will allow you to apply for the immigration of Canada. Obviously, the husband, wife, and children under the age of 20 2 are accepted in each applications. You can apply for immigrations just after the citizenship after the 3 years. Once you've gone through the citizenship process, obviously now you can also start business in Canada, America under the NAFTA agreements or North America Free Trade Agreement. So this is the list of the businesses which the British Columbia government has published, where these type of business are not eligible. So if you are thinking of doing this business, it will not work. It's automatically you do not qualify. Say for example, you want to start a bread and breakfast, hobby farm, home-based business, payday loan, check cashings, money changing, cash machines, business, pound brokers, tanning saloons, DVD rentals, coin-operated laundries, automated car wash, scrap metal recycling, business selling used goods, real estate developments and brokerage, insurance brokerage or business of brokerage, some kind of it. Business involved into the producing or distributing the pornographic materials. Obviously, it's not going to work. Any type of business, basically that association would tend to bring the BCPNP program into disrupt. So if the officer thinks that any of the business which you are trying to do is compromise the regulations of the BCPNP program, then the application will not be accepted. So you cannot start this business. These are the different areas which we have it or which I have identified, because you saw that under the PNP program of British Columbia, there is a business you're going to do it in British Columbia, in Vancouver, and another one with the $300,000 net asset requirement and $1 lakh investment requirement. You're going to do business outside the Vancouver. So these are the communities or districts are there in Vancouver, in British Columbia, where you can start this business. So in that district or the areas in which that they've given a name of the village, 100 Mile House, Mackenzie, McBridge, Prince George, Consols, Wilson Lake. So these are the Caribou district. A Caribou district may, these are the villages, which is almost north of Vancouver, 4 hours. Kootenay, that's the another district, and in that district, these are the all the different villages or towns are there where you can start up a business. And in each town, they have also given a requirement that what kind of business they would like you to set up in their village. Because one of the requirement, if you want to go into this 100,000 requirement, then yes, you can do it, but you have to go to this village, number one, and you have to set up a business which is they are asking you to set up. You cannot go and set up any business. They have a set criteria of business you want to do it. Mainland and South Coast, which is Gibson's, Hope. This is the areas I'm looking at it. Seychelles, Squamish, and Sunshines, and so many towns are there where it's a west of the Vancouver and Vancouver Island. These are the small towns or communities are there, probably with the populations of 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 people. But there you can set up your business under the lower investment requirement. Nekako is another areas you can do it. This is the another area of list is there. Oh, sorry. So if you go to the government websites, Vijay, do you see the website?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So if you go the government websites, you can check yourself that these are all the different are there. So if I go to the Caribou and 100 Miles House websites and click on that one, it shows me here what kind of business they are looking at. So they are looking into the business of miscellaneous manufacturing, nursing, residentials and care facilities, and education services. So these are the three areas they are looking into it. So each communities and each areas, they are looking into the possibilities of doing a business into this one. So just wanted to show you that I have to share again this slide. So now, again, I've already mentioned the process, but I'll still quickly go through it and give you an idea. So obviously, you consult with the Ajmera Law Group and do the retention of an agreement with us, collect the documents and submission of documents to our law firms, translations and valuation of the properties if the documents are not in English language, take the IELTS exams and do the assessment of qualifications, WS simultaneously can be done. Sign service agreements with Ajmera Law Group and pay the 25% of the fees. Selection of the business and business plan making and finalize it. Documents sent to the Canada and net assets reports. So the documents are send it to the CA as I mentioned before. Expression of an interest application is done. Approval is received for the expression of an interest. Submission of documents, and then you are called for an interview. Detailed interview preparation is to be done. You attend the interviews, pass your interviews, apply to the Canadian High Commissions for a business permit or a work permit. That gives you an arrival in Canada to start your business, 2 years to run and manage the business, and apply for removal of conditions, and receive your nominations and apply for an immigration to Canada. So it's basically a 20-step process whereby you can go through this whole process of immigrations. Startup visas, I'm not going to talk today much about it because I've already taken the time, but the startup visa is the another applications we do it, whereby if you have a business idea or if you do not have a business idea, we can provide you the one. What you need is just a 5 IELTS band. No education requires, minimum fund to settle in Canada is just required. And based on that one, you can obtain the immigrations. Your idea should be accepted by the government approved incubation center or an angel investors or a VC firm. It should be a new business ideas in which you have a 10% or more of an equities, and 50% cannot be held by anybody else. Owner operated business, I'm not going to talk about it because it's under the suspensions right now. So that's where I'm finishing my presentations on British Columbia. We have another speakers. I think Terrance Kelley is there.
Yeah, he's joined us already.
Sorry?
Terrance has joined us. If you can introduce him, sir.
Right. So we are going to talk. Another topic today is about the investment into a real estate in USA and how you can make an investment and why we are talking about the investment into USA. Particularly for two reasons. Because you all want your children to study abroad, and you are going to have a foreign holidays. Probably you want to buy foreign goods. That means we are all in a need of a foreign currency. And what we are doing right now is basically we are purchasing the foreign currency as and when we need it. And we know that in the last 12 years, this foreign currency has gone from $50 or US dollars has gone from 50 rupees to now almost 73, 74 rupees. So if you have a smaller children, then it would be an ideal thing for you to do would be start investing some money out of India, which could be into a financial product, which could be into a real estate, which could be into a business, and several other things you can do it because you are going to have this dollar eventually for your children's educations. And particularly today we have Terrance Kelley, who is from USA. and he is a chartered accountant by profession, based in Florida, and he has put up a very nice business proposal together whereby the renovation of the business, how you can make a very small investment and take an advantage of the return of the US real estate market, and also how you can finance your children's educations by earning in dollars and making into an investment into a real estate. If you make a bigger investment, obviously you are also entitled to create a receive EB5 as well. As you know, under the EB5 program, you have a 900,000 requirement now, or you have a requirement of 1.8 million. So you can have your own business in a partnership or collaborations with Mr. Terrance Kelley and his company, and you will be a 50% almost a partner, whereby you can have this renovation business in Florida and you do it. So you have a two choice. You want to earn into your dollars and save it for your children's for an education in America, and you do not wish to immigrate, still you can consider this one as one of the good options. The second options we look at it is that if you want to obtain immigrations or green card of USA by having your own business into a real estate, then this could be a good opportunity. Reason is very simple, because the regional centers and the big hotel business comes up, your involvement is not there. Whereas this is a small business of only $5 million of a business is created, whereby it gives you an opportunity to involve into the business yourself and also work into it if you are looking for an immigration. Otherwise, you can make an investment as an investor. So without taking much time, I'll invite Terrance to, I'll make him a co-host so he can share his screen. And Terrance, go ahead with your presentation. Once we are done with this one, then we'll take a question and answers on both presentation as we go along. And you can ask the questions in Gujarati, Hindi, or English as you like. Raise your hand. You can put it into the chat box, or you can speak up as well by unmuting yourself. Thank you. Terrance, go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you, Prashant. Nice being here this morning. A little problem logging in, but with the delay, the sun has come up over the Atlantic. So that's good news for us here. Let me just get the presentation set up here real quickly. And hopefully that's visible now to everybody.
Yeah.
You can see it? Okay. Hopefully you don't see the presenter's view with my notes, but so be it. Anyway, as Prashant says, my name is Terry Kelley. I'm the CEO of Ocean Walker. We're based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is in this pink state right down the very southeast corner of the United States. We're about a 20-minute drive from Miami. We're going to be talking today about a business that we have here and we've been involved with for a number of years that we believe people will find interesting if they're looking to diversify their portfolio outside of India, and doing it with not a lot of dollars, but at least getting them some exposure. We're going to talk about the state of Florida, with the business climate that we have here very briefly, a little on my background in Ocean Walker, obviously a description of the business, the options that we have for investing in it, and then what we can do as far as the E2 and EB5 visas for those people that want to make investments where they can immigrate to the United States. And then we'll wrap it up with next steps and questions. Florida is the third largest state in America, and it's behind California and Texas as far as population. We have approximately 900 to 1,000 new residents coming to our state every day. And this has been going on for years and years and years. I've been here over 35 years, and it just doesn't stop. We have a very good business climate down here. We don't have personal income taxes. Not only is our business climate well, our weather climate is excellent too, with a tropical motif to it. And then we have a very diverse population because here in Florida, we're the gateway to the United States for those countries in South America. So we have a lot of South Americans living here, and it gives us a great diversity and a very interesting place to live. My background is, as I said, I'm Chief Executive Officer of Ocean Walker. We founded the company in 2009 to advise banks on distressed loans. If you recall, in 2008, we had the financial meltdown, which hit us very severely here in the United States. So we were consulting with banks, and I was going in as an interim CEO with troubled companies and trying to bail them out. And we migrated to Florida residential loans because of the foreclosure crisis. And so the business has evolved into one where we're very involved with the acquisition, divestitures, and renovations of single-family homes in Florida. We've done way over 1,000 property transactions. Our primary client are what are referred to as REITs, or real estate investment trusts. These are large Wall Street sponsored investment funds. They normally capitalize them with $3 to $5 billion. Our clients have bought anywhere from 25 to 75,000 homes across the United States. We have specialized, or we have worked with these clients for buying properties in Florida. This is our area that we have special expertise in. Prior to Ocean Walker, I was president of Jet Aviation, which was a private jet management company based out of Zurich, Switzerland. We had operations worldwide, facilities in Singapore, Middle East, Europe, and the United States. That company was sold to General Dynamics in 2008. Prior to that, I was a certified public accountant and managing partner of the Palm Beach office for KPMG. The business that we're talking about and then we're seeing best for the business, which fits in with what we've been doing for the REIT and distressed properties, renovating them, and immediately selling them. The first step in the process is acquiring what are called stressed homes. A stressed home is simply homes that are in need of repairs. These homes are not normally bought by people that are going to buy them and live in them because the repairs are substantial, and these individuals can't get the financing. Most of our financing for residential homes here in the United States is backed by the federal government, and they will not lend on homes that need repairs of any magnitude. And so what we're doing here is buying those homes and getting them ready for the owner occupant. Our due diligence on buying all these homes, I'll get into a little later, but we know all of our costs with regard to a property before we buy it. We take our contractor out during the pre-purchase inspection. They prepare their contract for the renovations and remodeling that we'll want done. And so we know what those costs are up front before we close on the property. We don't do major structural projects. In other words, we don't renovate or put on new roofs or take out plumbing or electrical. We want to keep all the renovations within a 30-day period. What we do is remodel kitchens, put in new appliances, kitchen cabinets, new flooring, paint the entire dwelling, both inside and out, landscaping, repair bathrooms, what we consider more cosmetic type renovations to the project. Or to the home, I should say. If we are getting involved with roofs and these other items, the period for renovation would just extend much further than what we would like to be involved with. Plus, you incur a lot of hidden costs with those that we can't identify up front. So we try to stay away from properties that need that type of work. After the 30-day renovation period, we're selling the home. And our homes, our price point is such that we have the most buyers of any price category. These are middle Americans, if you will. $350,000 is our target resale price, and there's very, very high demand for that. Almost whether the market's up or down, it's the same. They're in high demand. Normally, we can dispose of a property as far as get a sales contract in it within 2 weeks of putting it on the market. Then there's a period allowed for the seller, or for the buyer, I'm sorry, to go about arrange their financing, do their own inspections on the property, and allow us to close it. So what we're looking to do here is, in a 90-day period, buy a property, spend 30 days renovating it, and then 60 days selling and closing on the property. So we have a very, very quick turnover of these properties. And we need everybody in the supply chain, if you will, meeting their deadlines. We're sticklers for that. We maximize profits if we meet those 90-day periods. So again, what we're doing is we're acquiring stressed homes, we're renovating, and we're turning out a product that the owner occupants will find very attractive. They can get the financing for them, and we can get a premium price for that property. What drives the business as far as making money? The most important thing is what we do up front, the underwriting or the due diligence of the property. We have a model that we've employed to buy the houses for the REITs and everything, and it's a very successful model. It takes into account where the home is located, what schools are in the neighborhoods, because schools are very, very important, and we can get the premium pricing if we're in the right school district, the real estate taxes, insurance, all sorts of things that go into the due diligence model. We will look at anywhere from 20 to 50 homes for each one we buy. We will process it through the underwriting. This is an area that I spend most of my time on, because this is viewed as the most critical as far as turning the profit. My staff does a lot of the number crunching for me, but I approve every purchase before we move forward. We don't buy a property unless we know we're going to make money. We aren't here to churn properties. We're here to buy properties and resell them at a profit. Too many surprises can occur if you're cutting the margins or cutting corners, and so we don't do that. Another thing that turns a profit for investors is our turn time. We're redeploying the capital that we've been provided within 90 days, and we're looking for each venture to do almost 100 homes per year through this. So we have to keep with our schedule. We can stretch it out to 120 days. It's not as nice, but we can do 120 days. But most of the time, we will hit that 90-day mark without any problem. We are a minimal overhead operation. We don't have an abundance of office space. Everybody works from their home, from their car. They're out at homes or at targeted homes that we're acquiring and everything. So there's no need to have a lot of office space. The other thing that we do is our employees are all licensed realtors. And so their compensation that we pay is relatively modest, but they make it up because they are the ones going out and buying the homes for us and selling the homes. And through that, they earn commissions that are paid through the sellers and buyers of the property. So we try to keep the overhead as low as possible and don't go into long-term commitments. I'm sorry. How we make money and the way the numbers work can be easily shown by a typical property. Here is the profit per property. Our targeted selling price is $345 in this case. Our goal is to average $350. We're buying these properties at approximately $250,000 each. We're adding in the renovations at $40,000. We can do a lot in Florida for $40,000 renovating a property. We know these costs. We've been doing this for over 7 years, and so we have this under control. And we're very, very good at it, but it all comes back to the due diligence process and getting the contractor in there before we close on the purchase. You can see the closing costs and selling expense. So we're ending up making around $23,000 on per property. As I mentioned, we're looking to process 100 properties per year. This is all stuff that we've been doing for many, many years. And so we're very comfortable with this. We know the Florida market is a very dynamic market and demand is very high. And in fact, right now it's probably too high because prices have escalated a little further than what I think they should be. But we have a lot of people moving down from the northeastern part of the United States, mainly New York and Boston, because more people are working remotely, so they can come down and work from Florida, which is highly desirable for because, as I explained, we don't have any personal income taxes, and our weather is very nice here. Our capital structure is made up of $2.5 million of debt that we place with third parties. This is all readily available here in South Florida. We leverage the purchase on a home. If we're buying it for $250,000, we're doing 50% of that, or $125,000 via the first mortgage, and we're funding the balance of the purchase price and the renovation costs out of working capital. We don't like to go into highly leveraged transactions. We like maximizing the return to investors, which can occur because of the leverage, but we saw what happened in the 2008 crisis when there's too much debt on property, so we're not going that path. All of the debt is obviously less than 1 year because we're turning the properties in 90 to 120 days. For investors, for the other $2.5 million of the capital, we've got two options for how they can join us as partners. And each of the options has its pluses and minuses, and depending upon the investor and what their appetite is for risk and returns and so forth, they can make a decision as far as what best suits their requirements. Either capital vehicle you can participate in. You don't have to do all or none. So you don't have to go 100% in the first option and none in the second. You can split it 50-50. We don't care. But I think you'll see that both of them have merits, and depending upon the individual, they'll decide what they would like to do. The option one is what we call mezzanine debt. And mezzanine debt is just a fancy term for meaning it's debt that will be in line for liquidations right after the first mortgage holder that we talked about on the screen prior. The first mortgage holders have first claims against the property when it's sold. They have to be paid back first. On the liquidation of the company, the mezzanine debt would have priority over the equity holders. The mezzanine debt in this case, we're looking for a minimum investment of $100,000. It's a 5-year instrument, and we're paying 10% interest quarterly. The advantages of the mezzanine debt for an investor: it's a steady stream of income. It's you know what your investment return is going to be, and you have the priority in liquidation. The disadvantage is that you're capped at the 10%. The second alternative, and here again you can do a combination of these two, is basically preferred equity. And what this means is you have equity in the business. We're giving 6% preferred return to these equity holders. We're starting annual distributions in year 2, and the distributions are based on the prior year's income. On liquidation and disposal of the business, once the first mortgage holder and once the mezzanine debt holders are taken care of, the distributions go 100% to this preferred equity until they've got their preferred return of 6% and their investment dollars returned to them. Once that's accomplished, we split the distribution 75% with the investors, 25% with us as sponsors of the business. The advantages are you get your annual distributions on equity, which is uncommon in year 2. The earnings are not capped like they are with the mezzanine debt at 10%. The disadvantages is you're last in line for liquidation proceeds, and the earnings are subject to the success of the venture. So we can't guarantee you a return, but you are in line for at least a 6% going forward. Some investment benefits that I put together here. I try to structure the equity as far as what I would want to see if I was making an investment in the business. And the first area is obviously the financial returns. You want to return on an investment that is as high as you can make it. In our case, depending upon what your mix is between the mezzanine debt and the equity portion, you're going to see 20% return on investment. This is not an unreasonable for this type of business, and it's very attractive for an investor. The other thing that I like to see is I'm all for reinvesting profits, but I also like to see some dollars coming back to me as soon as possible from the investment. And so I feel it's important to get some money out to the investors as quickly as possible, even though it's marginal, at least there is a return, and so they can appreciate what we're doing. The next thing that I like to see is liquidity of the investment. And here we have a real estate project with liquidity. They're hard to find and everything, but we aren't investing in major projects such as apartment buildings or commercials where you're looking at a 5 to 10 year hold. Here we're talking about single family properties that are readily marketable and normally sell within less than 30 days. So we're able to dispose of our assets very, very quickly. And so because of that, we have a great deal of liquidity. What we've done here is we've given rights to the investors that after the first 24 months of operations, they can call for a liquidation of the business at any time. Let's say their objectives have changed, they just want out, for whatever reason, we give them the right to say, hey, we want to close it down and we'd like our money and the earnings. We got to get through the first 24 months or 2 years because we have startup costs that we have to recover. But after that, it's up to the equity players in the business to say whether or not they want to liquidate. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they see the merits of continuing on with the business. We have a 5-year horizon, and we believe the returns are very, very good. And I think you'll see it too with the projections. The other thing that we bring to the table is a diversification. We bring an asset class, and that's real estate, to add to your stock and bond portfolio. And we bring the real estate with liquidity that we just talked about. We feel that is a very important selling point of the business. We also give a geographic hedge for those people that want to do some international investing on a small scale. This is a good vehicle to do it here in the United States. And you've got the hedge geographically, but you've also got the currency hedge that Prashant was mentioning with regard to investing in US dollars. The earnings are in US dollars. And if you got to send money out of your home country, this is a good way to do it, which will bring me to my last point on this slide. We see a big plus for this investment, especially on the mezzanine debt side, but both with the equity, is you can use this to park some money, grow that money, and have it in the dollar-denominated investments to use to pay for educational expenses of children or family members that may be here in the United States. I know Prashant has presented a slide in prior sessions that some of the biggest investments made outside of India is for educational expenses for family members. So we see this as being a major plus for the business. The sun has just come up, so I got to close my blinds here just a little bit so I can see my screen. I'm sorry. As we talked about and mentioned, we can accommodate those individuals that want to do some immigration by investment. In other words, if you want to come to the United States and live here as a resident through an E2 visa, we can assist you with that. If you want to come and gain citizenship through the EB-5, we can help you with that. The investment levels are, by statute, are much, much higher than the 100,000 that we've talked about here. So get together with Prashant, who's one of the experts in this area, and we can accommodate you, but it'll be a customized equity for and venture for these people that want to do either one of these. Just real quick on the E2, the residency visa, it's very, very fast as far as gaining it, but the country of origin has to have a treaty with the United States. India at this point does not, and so you'd have to gain citizenship, which we can help you with in a country like Grenada here in the Caribbean. You make an investment there, and they have a very accelerated process for gaining citizenship. And we do have a treaty with Grenada, so we can get you in the country for residency very quickly. So, as I said, Prashant and the immigration lawyers are the ones to talk to about these items. If you have an interest in moving forward with us, obviously you need to do your due diligence. The first is it a suitable investment for yourself? And you'll have to answer those questions. And then we stand ready to help you with questions regarding the project. I'm going to add a link to the chat session for what I call a venture summary, which is a detailed analysis of what's included in these slides, projections, a more in-depth discussion of the market, how we do our business, the important steps of the business. And I would suggest that you read that. You'll see the returns on the investment. If you're doing all equity, you'll see that in the book, it shows that you're getting about close to $5 return for each dollar of investment after a 5-year period on a liquidation. That is not a sale, that's on a liquidation. So in any event, the venture summary link will be in the chat session here in a second. If you decide that you would like to do something with us, we would execute what's called a letter of intent, or LOI. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. With this, you're reserving a spot with the investment. We're requesting a 5% refundable deposit to secure that position. Once we reach a minimum funding commitment of $2 million, keep in mind we're targeted equity is 2.5, but we can move forward with $2 million. Once we reach the 2 million threshold of commitments through the LOIs, we will contact every investor and say, okay, we're ready to move forward now. You've got 10 days to make a decision to move to join us as a partner with the enterprise, or go do something else. And if it's to go do something else, we immediately refund the memory or the deposit, I should say. Shake your hand and wish each other well. If you decide to move forward with this, then the refundable deposit goes hard, which means basically it becomes non-refundable. And we draw the documents for the investment, send those out, and with 5 days from execution, you'll have to fund the balance of the investment, and we're ready to move forward. That's the end of my formal presentation, and I know I went through it very quickly, but the document that you can access through the link will provide much more details with regard to this. Overall, it's a nice, easy way to do some investing in the United States in real estate without having to make major long-term commitments. We've got a good business model. We've been trusted by large billion-dollar REITs to acquire properties for them and get them in the portfolio. We can do this business very easily, and the profits are extraordinary. So with that, hopefully we'll have some questions, and I'll be more than happy to address anything.
Thank you, Kelley.
All right.
Thank you very much. It was a nice presentation and everything. So now we start with the questions. I think one of the questions was targeted to me about the business plan, what we're talking about, the British Columbia. Yes, business plan is the business what you want to do in British Columbia as per the priority list if you are going into the regional area, and the kind of a business you want to do it. So it has to be a combination of both, what they are looking into it and what is your area. So it's based on that one. Another gentleman asked questions about the owner operated business. Owner operated business is right now suspended, or the government is accepting the applications only in the areas where it is related to the COVID-19. So it's an emergency areas. In that area only they are accepting the applications, and that's why I did mention on that categories. But owner operated categories, if you wish to know, or I can mention it right now, basically you need a minimum investment of about $200,000. You need to have a visitor visa. You need to have the business plan or a business you're going to purchase in America, in Canada. And once you have run and managed that business for a period of 2 years, you can apply under the express entry. And as you now have a managerial experience of running and managing a business in Canada for 2 years, you get an additional points which will qualify you for an immigration of Canada. But under the owner operated category, also you have to understand that you have a minimum 6 band of IELTS and above, a bachelor's degree, and minimum 3 years of an experience. So that basic requirement of the immigrations to submit your file of the qualifying level should be there. Otherwise, without that, you're not going to qualify for the next level under the owner operated category. Because say for example, you are only 12th pass and you try to do your case under the owner operated categories, then when you try to submit your applications to the Canadian government, you will not make the 67 points out of 100 what is required. So that's basically about the owner operated categories. Next questions or the next things, if anybody wants to ask.
Sir, there was a raise hand by Mr. Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar ji, please unmute yourself and ask your question. No, I guess he is not on his seat.
Probably.
Mr. Chandrasekhar. Go ahead, sir. He's not there.